Now, a lot of times I see people starting off Last Year the Nightmare using the Giant, and they're not really using him to his full potential. Now, the reason I say this is because most times killers that are playing as the Giant just pick up any survivor or classmate that they can find and throw them away as far as humanly possible. And another thing that I realize is that killers that often play as the Giant on first spawn don't think that they have to play tactical because the Giant has such a huge health buff and a huge potential to do damage to the survivors. Now, as you guys can see, I started off this gameplay by laying out a few traps and trying as hard as possible to get my first kill with the ambush. You need to use the ambushes in Last Year the Nightmare as much as possible because they help you pick off survivors in a situation where you wouldn't be able to get as many as possible. Now, I didn't spawn out right away. I got rid of that turret, and I knew that I had placed a few gas packs around, and that would help me get a survivor or at least weaken one to pick off later. Now, it worked out well for me in this instance because I was able to get down 2 survivors out of the game as soon as we started, which made it easier to pinpoint and focus on the 3 remaining survivors. Now, this usually happens around this map because the first objective, you spawn right next to it. So the game can either drag here for a really long time, or if you're not careful, you can spawn in as killer and get killed repeatedly. Something else that you need to do as the Giant is pick survivors up and throw them onto traps. This makes it very hard for them to be able to escape, and you can walk up to them even though you're slow as the killer and get them down as soon as possible. Now, because the Giant is bigger than a lot of the other killers, finding a good spot to get back into a haunting mode is something that I found to be a bit difficult. He can't squeeze into tighter corners, and he can't fit himself or hide himself behind objects as easier as the Spider or the Slasher, or even another smaller character is the Strangler. So I think when you're playing as the Giant, guys, you have to understand that there are a few things that you need to watch out for. You need to play tactical still, you need to use traps, and you need to make sure that you use the ambushes as possible. Don't think you're invincible, because as you guys can tell from this game, if you are a killer main from Dead by Daylight or Last Year the Nightmare or any other game that you play like this, I know there are a few asymmetric games like this out at the moment. Playing as if you're invincible as the killer will not work. You will not get away with it. The classmates will just bully you, and they will pile on you as much as possible. You have to make sure that you play tactical and you're able to pick them off or hurt them until you're able to pick them off when it's convenient for you. Now, playing as the Spider Killer, what you guys need to understand is that when you're playing Last Year the Nightmare, you're not just one killer by yourself. You have a Fiend deck. So something to use to your advantage is to spawn in as a killer the classmates would not expect. Something like changing up the status quo. Now, because the Spider Killer is a new killer, right off the bat, as soon as you start on maps, survivors will not be trying to step on the Spider ambush spots. They know where they are, they've memorized them, and they will not take the chance. However, if you start off as a different killer, for example, the Slasher, the Strangler, or the Giant, then you have a greater chance of picking a survivor or 2 off with a quick ambush kill. And something else that you need to understand is that when playing as Last Year the Nightmare, the 3 killers, you're supposed to use them as 1. So you can start off with 1 to lower the health or lifespans of a few classmates, and then finish them off with another killer, as I have done in this game that you can see now. A lot of the classmates that I'm finishing off with the Spider, they were already weakened by the Giant, and it isn't a lot of work that needs doing to take them out with the Spider Killer. The Spider Killer is ridiculously fast. So when you're playing as him, it's very good to dominate the map with quick movements, quick spawn ins and outs, and basically try to make them panic by not being aware of where you are. Now, I tried to spawn out, but because a Raj was behind me that I didn't realize, I was forced and pushed to go in for the kill and try to get this guy out as quick as possible. You need to also make sure that they're not in a position where they're comfortable enough to save other classmates, because that becomes a problem very, very quickly. I thought this Raj was the last person that I had to deal with. Unfortunately, by the time I spawned in to get rid of him, the other classmates were able to save each other, and it basically started the game all over again. You need to make use of the spider's acid spray or sticky spray or whatever it is. I just know that the spider's venom does a lot of damage, and it also slows down classmates, making it easier to pick them off when you need to. Now, a lot of people that I've seen play this game have a hard time of understanding when it's okay to bull rush a group of 4 or 5 survivors. Now, the only time I do this is when at least one of them is red or one of them is orange in health. That lets you know that you'll be able to get at least one of them down when you spawn in. I think that's what I'm about to do now. I'm not too sure. But yes, you need to make sure that they're red or orange, and you need to make sure that you're pressuring them into running towards where you place your traps. This makes them panic, and sometimes they don't crouch when they're supposed to, get picked off by a trap, and makes it easier for you to get them. Now, when you're playing as the spider, you need to make sure that when you're about to die, you're surrounded by classmates, because then your venom sac, when it explodes, can get a few of them low on health, and if there's a medic not around, they'll be easier to pick off when you spawn in next time. Now guys, that I think is all that I can say about the spider. Make sure you use his jumping ability and his speed as much as possible, and his quick spawn ins and spawn outs when you need to. Now, the next killer that we're playing as is the Slasher, and a lot of people underestimate the Slasher because he's not as quick and his ambushes aren't as frequent as other ambushes in the game. He can only go from the ceiling, I think, and he'll be able to ambush you from above with his axe and take you out in one blow. But another good thing with the Slasher is that when classmates are low on health, you can take them out with one tactical hit as quick as possible and spawn out and try to find a way to get the next one. Now, you need to make sure that you control your spawn ins and outs with the Slasher, because guys, he is ridiculously slow. If you don't plan how you're gonna use him and how you block classmates in with his body, then he won't be any worth to you if you don't understand how to play as the Slasher. Now, a good point that I just realized I need to point out to you guys: when you're in that killer animation, that killer frenzy, you are basically invincible. That is the only point in the game where you are not being attacked, where no matter what they try, whether it be a pipe bomb, punches, bats, gas, it will not affect you because you are in killer frenzy mode. And you need to make sure that you spawn out sometimes after that, because the invincibility doesn't last too long from the killer frenzy mode. Guys, I think that is all of the tips that I can give playing as Killer in Last Year the Nightmare. You're not invincible, you need to play tactical, and you need to be mindful of how you spawn in and out, because classmates can block your spawn out, and that can basically leave you cornered, trapped with no escape, which is horrible in this game as a killer, and very embarrassing for the part that you're supposed to be playing. Now, that's all I can do for now. As you guys can see, I'm gonna go in for one more kill. I got him. I thought I was gonna be able to get him in the trap, but that didn't work out for me. And he tried to get me with a shotgun, but I just jumped around to try and dodge those. And he missed surprisingly, and I was able to take him out later on in the game. Guys, be mindful. You're not invincible in this game, and the classmates can take you out if you're not careful. Now, I've been playing this game a lot on my channel. I will continue to do so you guys will see a lot of videos, a lot of Last Year the Nightmare videos coming out recently and in the future, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope the game gets developed, and chapter 2, the teaser trailer for the new killer, has come out. Don't know if there's going to be a new classmate, but I do know the new killer is a priest, and I can't wait to see how we're going to add him to the Fiend deck and how his abilities will complement other killers in the game. I'll see you guys the next time I upload. If you're new, make sure to drop a like and a subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this game in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.